I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is Stoneblock 4. Now, last episode was definitely a doozy, but welcome back to some more Stoneblock 4, and I tell you what, today is going to be pretty exciting. We jump into a brand new chapter of our Stoneblock journey. Now, this is going to come with a set of new challenges, I do believe. Power being a big one, and that's going to be something I actually plan on focusing a lot on today, is kind of scaling up a little bit of our power. But this is also going to lead me into potentially needing to up the way that we generate our seeds and probably converting this room into a much more viable way of generating these seeds. Before we get into all of that, we need to go meet some new people, some new echoes that we just unlocked last episode. And so, yet again, let's speak real quick to our echo.
Your world engine can now support Tier 4 upgrades. The WERK will now reboot 3 additional archives. The Echo of the Wyrmwright will lead you into the realm of the Draconic and the Void. The Echo of Twilight and the Echo of the Ancient will guide you through several vaults across distant dimensions.
And so, we have now unlocked 3 more echoes, it seems. So let's go find those echoes and let's go have a little chat so we can kind of get an understanding of where we're about to head next. And I guess first on the list, the Wyrmwright. Let's go give the Wyrmwright a little bit of a visit. Ooh, Draconic evolution in here. All right. Ooh, and that one's kind of nice looking. We got our Draconic portals. We got some Awakened Draconium down here for decoration. Energy cores. Ooh, also the wireless crystals in here. Some bones. I love the design on this. All right. What do you sell first before we get to talking? Interesting. A generator from Draconic evolution. QIO dashboard. Ooh, and we got some upgrades from Oritech. Those are pretty nice. And look at that, an ultimate tier installer. We get all of them, an entire set. Instantly upgrade the machine to the ultimate tier for 250. I mean, we have 1,000 to play with. That might be kind of worth it for at least our automation. But anyways, let's get into this.
What do we have here? I gotta say, seeing a human reach such heights of knowledge wasn't something I expected. But I'll take the surprise. If my memory serves right, the last thing I was doing before all of this was looking for my brother, Chaos. You haven't seen him around, have you? People tend to think dragons are nothing but wild, fire-breathing beasts with the wings the size of continents. But I'm half dragon, and I turn out pretty normal, right? Anyway, you're here for that upgrade, so let's get to work. I can provide 2 upgrades for your world engine. The first, we'll need some key materials to craft the foundation of Draconic technology. An energy core with 4 stabilizers and 4 crystal matrix blocks. The matrix design isn't dragon tech, of course. My brother borrowed it from Infinity, another echo he worked closely with.
Ooh, interesting. That was a very, very interesting voice. All right. So basically, we've got to craft up energy core stabilizers for an energy storage system from within Draconic evolution. And it talks about the crystal matrix blocks and so on and so forth. Very interesting. He's half dragon. Are you dragonborn? Is that what I'm getting here? What? Oh, but anyways, all right. We have the Twilight Ancients one over here. Ooh, this is the good wood. The canopy slab, I think, is the logs everybody loves from the Twilight, including myself. There's also a random tome over here. When they were building, did they die and left their tome? That's hilarious. Okay, that's something to kind of note. There's 2 of them here, 2 echoes in this one. Also, this is the Aurora blocks. Oh, this is from the Frozen Queen, right? Interesting. I love just looking at all of the blocks and everything. Broken sea lanterns from Chipped. I love the designs of these. The ropes that are in here. All of this stuff. All right. Anyways. What do you have to say?
Welcome, mortal, to your resting place. Not within this archive, precisely, but likely within the vault you must conquer, if you wish to obtain the ancient upgrade for your world engine. Pay no heed to my sibling, Twilight. Pride has been held on to a little too tightly, even as an echo. Still, I cannot deny I share some of the doubts about your ability to restore the world engine. No matter. As you have likely realized, despite the fragments of who we once were, we remain bound by our programming. We act as the work commands, regardless of our own feelings or fears. Your upgrade lies within a vault so ancient that moving it between realms would cause its collapse. The only path to it is through a portal within the ancient deep. Perhaps the Infernal or the Enchanter have already spoken of this place, each in their own way. Whatever they called it, you must be ready to fight for your survival. Defeat the horrors within, and you will uncover an alloy known as Cursium. With precision and care, it can be molded into euphonium, essential for advancing your world engine.
Oh, wow. Euphonium. I love that word. And Cursium. Oh, very neat. But they have doubts in me? Do you not see, sir, the chest piece I am wearing, sir? This is a great piece of armor here. I no longer fear death anymore. Okay, what does your brother have to say?
Look, brother, another would-be savior of mankind. How pitiful, and yet how predictable. So this is the one that the work chose to send to their doom. Unlike you mortals, my brother and I were born of an ancient and forgotten people. I have watched the ages pass since the fall of Twilight, stories older than time itself. If you are foolish enough to seek death, then by all means, challenge the vaults none have conquered. Your world contains vaults translocated by the work in a desperate attempt to hold back the end of yet another dimension. Within them dwell the remnants of my homeland, beings of immense power and wrath. To strengthen your world engine, you will need their heads as trophies, each one bound with an aspect of ancient magic.
Okay. Ancient magic says begin with the Lich, master of illusion, and the undead, then seek the frozen caverns where an ancient Yeti roams, its strength forged in the frost and range. Next, you must face the rulers of flame and ice, the Ice Cad Queen? The Ice Clad Queen, is that what her name is? And the three-headed Hydra. Finally, confront the legend of Undead Knight, who guard the last bastion of the Twilight Realm. It says, bring me the heads of mortal, and perhaps you will prove that your kind has not become completely incompetent. Interesting. Very nice. Okay, claim all 5 Twilight trophies from the vault in the Twilight Ring. I'm excited to do this one. I almost forgot. What are you guys selling? You have 2 different shops here. Celesti Gem. Ooh, more matter tanks. Oh, we still got to get into replication. That's going to be even crazier. We have Mimi Dust. Converts chests to mimics. What? That's awesome. Okay. And what about you? Ooh, a super dense energy cell. 2.5 hours on our temporal. A watch of flowing time. Who needs a temporal pouch when we can get a watch of flowing time? What? And then ways to upgrade our relics to max level. We can also get a Guardian data model and a Shulker data model. Very cool. Ooh, and a Gateway Pearl of the Apothic Pinnacle. Oh, that sounds sick too. So it seems there is lots to do and lots to explore. But first, before we get into anything, it's time to start upgrading our power. And I think I'm going to dive a little bit into Oritech to be able to generate said power, as power has been buffed significantly, apparently, in the Oritech mod. And I don't know about you, but I absolutely love Satisfactory. And there's just something satisfying about watching the things that are generating things for you actually move. And that's the cool part about Oritech. They move. And so I've started clearing out an area. Take a look at this. This is on the southern branch. And what I'm doing is I'm starting to clear out an area. I mapped out kind of how I want to set up some Oritech generators down here. Of course, we're going to have areas that are actually being, that need to generate the liquid that's going to go in our generators. And speaking of that, what generators do I plan on using, you might be asking? Oh, I'm going to be using the fuel generators. Now that we have access to the Enderic lens, we can craft as many of these fuel generators as we want. And the cool part about these fuel generators, if we hold control, I mean, just with basic oil going into them, they produce 8,000 RF each. And they can be upgraded to produce, I believe, even more than this. And depending on the fuel you actually feed it, depends on how many generators you can support off of one singular, what is it called? A refinery? Yeah, and this refinery is not that expensive at all to make. Now, how am I clearing this out, you might be wondering? Well, I'm actually using a Netherack stick. Yes, I am using a stick from Construction Sticks, and a Netherack one specifically, but I did add some upgrades. So with the construction sticks mod, we do have a destruction stick template, and I went ahead and I added that to the stick. And then I also added a battery template, so it uses power now instead of durability. And then I also set a keybind to be able to change its mode from destruction and construction. Now, something to note, I did have a little bit of a bug, and I just want to mention it just in case you encounter it, where I actually couldn't change modes after I upgraded it. I just had to relog and it started working. But this destruction mode is so nice. I can just go through here and just completely wipe everything in the connected direction. Oh, it's fantastic. Because man, I tell you, it is so much easier to go back in and refill things back in than it is to actually destroy all of these blocks. Because it just feels like this takes so much longer to do. Is this the destruction? So I think I'm going to kind of make this shape. I'm going to make it very, very interesting, by the way. It is going to be a square, but it's actually going to be rounded on the edges. And I kind of have a unique effect that I want to use and try out. That's going to involve some windows in here, but I do want this room to feel massive. I want this room to feel very large. And that's because we are handling generators in here. And so I've started to design out how this curve is going to look. I'm going to change my mode to construction mode. And now I can actually go in here. And something cool that I can do is if I have a bunch of stone, for example, on me, I can go into my applied energistics setup and I can go to restock. And it's going to keep this stone restocking in my inventory. So I don't have to worry too much about running out, or at least I shouldn't. So much for restocking. What? It should keep it restocked from our AE system. It's not though. Well, I guess it does if you actually click it, but disregard that suggestion. Now I do have some of the windows sort of in place. And like I said, I have a goal for these windows. I kind of want the back here to almost look like there's sort of this biosphere sort of behind it. And in these windows here, like I said, there's going to be like a tree. I think I can plant like a tree. I want to put some grass in here, make it nice and bright too. And then eventually, once I get some skyweave, I'll put it in. But I think until then, I'm probably going to use some anti-blocks to maybe simulate a sky. So something like this, where I have these bright cyan anti-blocks. I've put a couple of these white blocks in here. And from a distance, this looks pretty nice. We have the tree over here, and I added a little bit of depth by adding in some raised dirt in here. But yeah, probably some grass on the floor with some bone meal, I think would look really good. Maybe we can add a little bit of that. And then I've just got to figure out, like, what am I doing here? Like, how am I going to... I don't know. I don't know how exactly I'm going to manage the glass, but I got to figure out what glass to put in there. And I've started getting a little creative here. Okay, so I have some of these industrial iron blocks because this is a little bit brighter. And these go down. I just have some create shafts I'm using for decoration. That leads into a chain that leads into a metal girder from create. And all of these things are very easy to autocraft. Going into an illuminant panel, which I absolutely love here. And so the way we're doing this is by taking our metal girder. I'm holding down shift, turning it into this source, and then clicking this in, and then I can just place the light panels directly underneath. And I'm using the create wand of symmetry to just get this symmetrical on all sides. Oh, it's just giving so much light to the room. Now, you know what? I've decided to go with this like gray stained glass, which is just regular stained glass, which I realize the recipe for stained glass is kind of odd. You can't actually use the block form for some reason to make the glass panes, but there we go. So I've used the chisel here to be able to convert this, and I've selected the vertical one. I think that looks pretty good. I mean, it goes with the gray theme that is, you know, the stone and everything that is going on in here, but also gives this like splash of color back here. Yeah, I've just got to get all of these with trees in them. I tell you, this gives a little bit of that nature touch. I don't know, I've been kind of feeling down, right? We've just been in stone, so I wanted to kind of make this feel like I was less, you know, locked in this stone fortress, but instead now this kind of feels like there's a little bit of nature outside. No, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you like this idea? And I would love to see interpretations of this that you decide to put in your world. Of course, you can do that over on the Discord by posting it in the image gallery. I love watching all the things you guys build. So now I've started to design what is essentially going to be our generators, right? So I've got these little platforms built out, and the generators from Oritech, they take up a 3x3 space from what I remember correctly. Now, just in case you were wondering how I'm actually producing steel, which is going to be used for making these machines, I'm actually using this recipe right here from our Ender.io. So it's iron and crushed coal, and I'm crushing coal automatically with a crusher from Mekanism. It actually makes it quite quick. And now I've set up enough room for 16 of these generators that are going to go right here, but we may be able to stack more of these in the future, or possibly even stack them behind. Just fit them in this room is sort of the goal. I wanted to raise them one off the floor to make it look a little bit nicer, and so I do need to request 16 of these fuel generators. And then we're going to need all of the blocks required to set this up, which each one of these requires 17 of those machine cores. And as of right now, I'm just simply producing the basic ones. Just to show that AE can do very nice math, we have 17 and we're going to multiply that by 16 because that's how many we're going to need and how many of these multi-blocks we're going to have. And then we just simply request it. And I definitely need to make a block to copper conversion. Yeah, I only have a couple copper. We're fine. So yeah, these machines, they do take up, as you can see right here, a 3x3. And so I'm actually going to place it right here. And then we just right click the blocks and it will eventually form. Look at that. Takes up the entirety of that space. It's got a really nice animation. And it's just a little engine. There's like little engine pieces that stick out as if they're pistons. I love these. And yes, I've got to do this for every single one of them. Now with all of these set up, we are going to be getting into something very interesting. We need to generate oil. I think I want to use regular oil for right now and kind of see how far I can take oil. And for that, we're going to need a refinery. Now the refinery takes up a very interesting shape here, but whenever it all pops into place, this is going to be the thing that's going to produce oil for us. Very, very pink, by the way, which does give off like creative vibes. I don't know why this reminds me of like creative items. They're usually like pink. But yes, I'm going to do 2 of them for now. We may have to make more of them, but what I'm going to be feeding this is actually carbon. And one of the ways that we can get carbon and we can get it like indefinitely is from a fluid cow. So I actually want to breed up some cows so I have more, so I can potentially make more. And I want to actually use ours for this. We could breed this by hand, but I actually want to dive a little bit into ours here. And I got a Vitalic source link that is making source whenever mobs die, and it's sending it into this source jar. And then I'm going to take source from this position, and we need to send it through a source link. And I should have some source links laying around. Perfect. I'm going to feed it into this source link right here. And then I'm going to take source from this source link, and I want to feed it into this source link, and then from this source link into this source jar. And that is actually going to feed the ritual brazier. And what I'm going to put in there is a tablet of fertility. And the tablet of fertility is a ritual that will auto breed the mobs that are within this radius here. Pretty darn cool. And I believe it also speeds up their cooldown timer. But honestly, this is going to be a nice way to just get a bunch of cows that I can constantly kind of work on. Now, I think you can technically cheese their cooldown timer if you want to by feeding them the clapple and then reverting them back with a milk bucket, which is probably what we're going to probably do here in a second. So yeah, how exactly do the clapples work? Well, this is very interesting. Let's grab a bucket. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to milk this cow. And the goal here is to get a carbon cow. Now, we can definitely get several different cows in this process, and it is kind of random. So I do recommend a creature catcher, grabbing one of these cows, getting it out of the pen that all of your other cows are in, and just sort of putting it somewhere that's not there. And that's because these cows do blow up whenever they actually transform. So you can see right here, it can transform into a bunch of different cows. And I right click, and that starts the transmutation, which will change this cow. The goal, like I said, is to get a carbon cow. Now we got a molten osmium one, and what we can do with this is just simply right click this, and it turns back into a normal cow. That also has its breed timer reset. And so we just want to keep rinsing and repeating this, making sure we grab a milk bucket, by the way, before we do this, until we just get a carbon cow. And the more of them you have, the more of these you can do. And would you look at that? We have ourselves a carbon cow. And by the way, to be able to get it to full grown pretty quick, we could technically give it wheat, but we don't have to worry about that, because remember, we can squish these cows while they're a baby. But you know what? Before I put it in the jar, I think I might want to get like more than one of them. That would be nice, right? If we can get 2 carbon cows, maybe we can breed the 2 carbon together and make more carbon cows. And I still haven't gotten myself a carbon cow, and I've been doing this for a while, another one, but I might be able to get lucky and get one if I breed these 2 together, which is an iron and a carbon, which, by the way, if they breed together, there's a chance that we can get a steel cow. You've seen that. It's not 100% chance, by the way. I just got a steel cow. Wow. All right, so I just got 2 steel cows. I'm starting to feel like it is 100%. I just want more carbons. Yay! So after a while and me now only having 9 apples after an entire stack, I now have another carbon cow, which, oh no. Woo, that was close. Now I have another carbon cow. Wait. Add a carbon cow. I had another one. And there we go. After going through another stack, I have this one. You know what? I'm gonna try and be a lot more careful with this one. Okay, that one has gone in there, and I just want to see if I can actually breed 2 carbons together to make more carbons. I'm also going to accelerate its growth by feeding it some wheat. All right, let's just see. All right, so we've got these 2. If it produces another one, yeah, that's what you want. You got to get 2 of these. That's going to make life so much easier. And now I can actually start to put these inside jars. Perfect. So I'm going to get these last few put together here, and I think 2 might be enough. I'm really excited to see how many of these we can power with just 1 of these basic setups here. Just 1 refinery. And so we do a little bit of a bloop here. You know, nothing fancy. Perfect. And I'm actually going to place these jars right here, and then I'm going to use the fluid pipe from Oritech to pump into this refinery. And I believe that should allow fluid to go in. We may actually need power first before it actually starts working. This is going to take power, by the way. Let's see. Will it flow? Did you catch that? I just happened to put the empty fluid cow in here, cow jar. Yeah, we need the ones that actually have fluid in them. For example, this one. there we go, right? Let's turn that on. And perfect. Now we have molten carbon in here. And what's crazy is like 250 millibuckets of molten carbon should be converted, once we add the catalyst in here, should be converted into 2 full buckets of oil. Now, just because I'm OCD about things like this, I did want to make the Oritech pipe wrench just so I can remove it from the side so it looks like it's going there. I'm going to do the exact same over here. And now, what's the other item that's actually needed in here? Well, slime. And I want to use chickens for this. Yes, I'm going to be sending some seeds over here into these slime chickens. For right now, I think I can grab out some seeds. Let's see. I do have some seeds in this chest temporarily to get this up and running, but we're about to actually adjust the way we're producing seeds. So things are about to get a whole lot faster. That's going to start producing slime balls for us. Plenty fast enough. And slime balls do get consumed, by the way. So let's go into Oritech. I just want to add a few pipes here to just simply pull into the machine. That's going to start throwing in slime balls. And once this machine has some power, it is going to start converting that carbon into oil. Oh, that's so nice. Now, later on, I might actually replace these chickens with applied Energistics. Since we do have it stored in our system, it would be better to just simply use what we have. But for right now, yes, having it in its own individual system might be a good idea. And maybe we can supply that from something like an ender chest, for example. And we can feed some seeds into this ender chest. So now about those seeds. Currently, there's a couple of ways we can do this. Garden cloches are incredibly fast. That is a really, really good way to do it. But there is also another way. So I made another Celesti Gem hoe, and Nature's Blessing is kind of a cool thing that you can put on a tool that's essentially unbreaking, because it allows this to act as bone meal. And so whenever you right click, it is using a little bit of power here because that's what makes it unbreaking. And it allows you to essentially infinitely bone meal. Now, there are other tools that we can get later on that don't have any durability at all, which would be really, really nice. But yes, this one is going to actually use power to do this. And we can just bone meal all of these incredibly fast. just by using a clicker, like an advanced clicker. So we can give this a little bit of power, set its position to like here, for example. And let's just say we want to bone meal this little 3x3 area. We can extend this out a little bit, and then we build this like so. Now this is looking at this 3x3 area. We put the tool in, set it to a speed of 1, and it's just going to bone meal this area really fast. You could also set it to just a single block. And look at that. That is bone mealing that spot incredibly fast, about as fast as it could go. And I don't know if fortune actually affects these crops, but that would be really nice. The cool part is the hoe is not the thing that actually does the sending of the item. It's technically this one that we have right here. Fortune is something that we should be able to put on here. Normally, fortune would affect like crops and seeds of normal wheat. So I'm assuming that this could technically give us more seed drops. That's normally how it affects things. And if so, that is going to be an incredibly powerful way of getting this. I just don't know if it's this that needs to actually have the unbreaking on it or what. Now, this is going to start feeding all of these items quickly. The goal is for it to actually fill up. And I'm looking for this thing to hopefully fill up soon. And that is exactly what we are starting to see. We're starting to see a little bit of a backlog start to build up, possibly. Or we could, yeah, no, there's definitely a backlog starting to build up. It's just ever so slow. Now, we'll say this is definitely not optimal for a server. This is such a weird thing to be able to do. I definitely think garden cloaches is something we're going to get into very, very soon. You know what, though? What I am going to try and do, this is just a little bit of an experiment here. I'm actually going to try and reset this dirt, place it back down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hoe it now with our drop teleporter hoe, which is this one right here. And this one is now set up with fortune on it. And I'm wondering, is that going to apply said fortune? I have no idea. This may start generating even faster than before. It's not 100% noticeable. Now, what I have found is it does look like if you do set the radius larger, it does seem like this is more effective. But now what I want to be able to do is just simply use some sort of pipe. Like we could use Oritech pipes or item pipes. We just get Oritech pipes for free from the start. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this. That should be slow enough to keep up and hopefully start to fill this ender chest. That would be the goal. But you know what? There is a big problem with Oritech pipes, and that is that they are going to fight over this first slot. And that is kind of a problem. It does seem like it's possibly doing an okay job at this. Yeah. And now because these ender chests are also linked, we just do this to feed the seeds over to it. It's time to have some fun. So I do have it planned to get the pipes running in here, but I did realize as I was starting to put some pipes in, I was like, man, we don't really want to block this slot right here because this is actually an expansion port for adding upgrades to these machines, as these don't have like an upgrade slot in the machine. It's all external. So I was like, you know what? We can use the pipe connector again, and I'm going to use the basic mechanical pipes here for now. And I want to have them pull out of the bottom of this actual tank. And the reason I want to use Mekanism pipes is because you can see things happening, and you can't actually see things happening with the fluid pipes from the Oritech mod, unfortunately. You can with the item pipes. I really like these see-through item pipes. But yes, I put the mechanical pipes in my offhand, select my first position, and then I just need to go through here, and on the middle of this machine, I'm going to start adding in positions just like so. And until we can't add any more. I think there is a limit to how many we can actually add. And I think that limit is 8 because, yes, we cannot add any more here. So let's see, what is it trying to do here? Maybe if we not do AI pathfinding, there we go. That seems pretty good. We do want this to go down 1. So there we go. We've lowered it down underground 1. And I think that should be good, right? I'm going to clear everything out. It's going to just work. I'm pretty excited about this. So much work was avoided right there, and we just placed all of those pipes underground. That is so nice. So after getting all of those placed in, that was incredibly simple to do. I should just be able to set this to pull. Oh, and these bad boys kick on. Hold on. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, they were running. The power is already filled up in them, though. Wait, they don't run unless they're constantly, like, using power? Oh, this makes me want to just have trash cans here voiding power. Hold on. Trash cans, a power trash can. Does it auto output power? It doesn't. So we are going to need some way to get power out of these. And that's right. Energy pipes from Oritech. They do transfer 10,000 RF per tick. And if this serves here, that means that this technically would be outputting as much as possible. It's currently says it's empty. I don't know if that just, I mean, if it like directly sends power. Doesn't look like it directly sends power. Does the wrench automatically pull? No, that doesn't work either. All right, well, how do you technically transfer power out of here? Interesting. It doesn't like using this particular port. I wonder, it doesn't auto send, right? Just want to just double check. Oh, it does. It does auto send, just not from this like face looking thing. Okay, so now this may sound a little weird, but my idea here is to make several trash cans. We should have 1, 2, 3. So we do 3 times 4. It'll get us our 12 needed. And I want to place these trash cans in between these for right now. If they do auto output this way. Oh, there's actually little icons here. Ah, no. So these just output from these little ports. Okay, so the idea, we could potentially use gates, like we'll use our gates to send power into our network. Eventually maybe flux or using some cable pipe system. But I do want to have these constantly running for right now. They are running off of a renewable resource. And I just want to see and make sure that we are producing enough oil to maintain this many, because we may not be producing enough. And we may have to have 2 of these setups per generator setup. Now, it doesn't look like it's running out of oil at the moment, which is good. I don't think any of these are running out, which is kind of surprising, but I think we can put like a 20% efficiency buff on this, and that might be able to last longer. We have to look. Is our pipe running out? It is running out. So eventually we would run out of oil. Maybe on this setup, one at full stress. I mean, it still seems like it's staying so consistent. But I think to make this even better, like I said, we can make the efficiency add-on. And so, like, if I make 16 of these, we could just slap this right on the back. But there is also a machine add-on extender that allows us to place this on the back, giving us several sides that we can add even more of these onto. As of right now, we have this side for an upgrade, and then we also have this side for an upgrade. That would be a total of 40% on our efficiency. I mean, that's an energy efficiency change. I'm assuming it just doesn't consume as much fuel anymore. So it takes 28 ticks to get through it, where the base is 20. That would save us a little bit on our fuel. I mean, these are so cheap for us to make and just throw on all of these guys. So yeah, even with all of these, we are probably still going to need the machine extenders, and I almost guarantee we're going to need more of these efficiency add-ons. And we're also going to need a secondary fluid cow, I believe, to keep up with the fluid cow rate, because I notice at max capacity in the machine, this right here is definitely consuming more than we are producing. So it looks like we're going to need to make our first machine add-on extender, which is going to involve a new material called durathium. Yes, I think I said that right. Or maybe it's durathium, but it does look like we can make this in our Ender IO. Typically it'd be made inside of the alloyer from Oritech, but we're playing in this pack. It's kind of nice that we can make it a lot faster inside of here. Now, this is kind of an interesting concept. Based on the actual machine blocks that this is built out of, determines how many add-on slots we actually get. And you can see right here, it shows that we can only put, with these base machine frames that we have out of this multi-block, we can only put 1 machine extender on it at the moment. And so each of these can receive a machine extender, which is going to give us significantly more slots to be able to place things like efficiency add-ons on. Now, I really hope that these efficiency add-ons are actually making use of this in some form. It does show that this is a thing, so 120% now with all of these on here. I would assume that that would mean it burns longer, or the fuel lasts longer in here. Okay, it has to be actively running to see it, but yes, it did go from the base 20 ticks to 44 ticks. So it now lasts twice as long, like a little over twice as long. So yeah, I'm gonna call it. This is 100% worth, and this should allow this one setup here to work for all of these. These are each producing 8,000 RF, almost 8,200 each, by the way. Now, looking at all of this, I think I've got all of them upgraded with those efficiency upgrades. I'm kind of waiting for a little bit to build up here. And while I wait, I do want to prep up and get ready to be able to make gates. And so I was thinking I could go ahead and also automate the power mod by just using a simple pattern provider that we can put on the top here. Maybe later on I'll make it extended, but this just needs to send the ingredients into here. And I do want to use locking mode, or I actually could use blocking mode, but I essentially want to use a modular router to pull items from here. So I will use a simple puller module to pull from the top. And this is a very tried and true design that I've set up. And then right here, we'll use a sender module to send back into the pattern provider, completing this whole connection, and put some speed upgrades in here to make it go really fast. And this thing will definitely have the zoomies. And anytime we go to craft anything, we just need to make a pattern that sends the item, make sure this is on blocking mode, and it will send the item. This will then collect the product and then shoot it right back into the pattern provider really fast. So now I've just auto crafted everything needed to make these. For example, let's say we need some more blazing. I should have blazing in here. Make sure to get that connected in. And now I see, and I can request some blazing. Let's make 20. And we'll see how fast this is. I mean, it is going to be limited by how many of these we have on here, but it is technically doing the craft. Like, we can't even see it swapping the item position that it finished. I mean, I do like these fancy blocks, but technically we don't need it to be that large. We can actually make it nice and small here, place it right on top, add our cable, and it's even smaller now. We just have to make sure and relink this sender to the bottom of this, just making sure that that is set correctly. And there we go. Now we've got an even more condensed version of this. But you know what? Now I'm super happy because I can now auto craft these gates. Oh, assuming that I set my patterns up correctly, which I definitely didn't. Yep, just the wrong version of the cables. These are the versions I want. Love how I went to craft these, forgot yet again about putting it in locking mode after making it nice and condensed. Sorry, not locking mode, blocking mode. Now back over here, we have all of our oil now built up. Perfect. And I can actually start to see the molten rate. I've got my cows. I have 2 of them now. And I think this is going to be a nice optimal setup. We'll just start to void power just to check. I'm going to do this on both sides so I can kind of judge between both of them. This should honestly be more than 5, because I think about 5 of these can run off the oil if I've done my math correctly. Yes, this does seem like if it was needing to be ran non-stop, this right here, 100% is sustainable with 16 of these generators running. And so I'm going to go around and I'm going to swap all of these out with some ender gates. And my assumption is that if I place an ender gate here, this is auto pushing the power out, so should push into the ender gate. And we do have a side that is connected, which should be pointed towards the east. It is right here, and it is technically automatically assigned to receive and also expel energy into a machine. So it should technically be on the receiving end. And this supports up to 20,000 in and out. So this would actually send power back into our network if need be. You know what? I'm going to call that a pretty huge success. By the way, I am storing all of my fluid cows that we've generated so far inside of some of these mob imprisonment tools. So I can just kind of clean this mess up from playing with the cows. But this is a really, really nice looking setup. I mean, just take a gander at this. Oh my goodness. This looks so good. And when it's actively running, they move and stuff. I really wish they were actively running, but I'm sure we'll end up using that power before long. I would love for this to be on a priority system, so the way it pulls from this first before trying to pull from anything else. Just because this is so nice looking. But don't get me wrong, there is still a ton, and I mean a ton of work to do. This just essentially got us set up with some nice power. And I mean, and assuming that we're producing about 1.2K, we're sitting at close with all of these to just passively generating 130,000 RF per tick or more, maybe a little bit more than that. And this, it just runs on its own, just with some fluid cows. And we even have more room for expansion later if I want to, and we can also expand up, and we can add other generators in some fashion in here too. We have this open wall right here that we can play with. There's a lot to mess with, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode, because my goodness, I had a lot of fun at planning and building out all of these rooms and things like that, and I hope you enjoyed that as well. And if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button, of course, if you haven't already, and give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. And so now it's time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks, well, that's going to go out to Impera. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and just supporting my content in one of the best ways possible. You absolute boss. Thank you for going absolutely above and beyond in supporting this channel. And guys, be sure to check out other links down in the description below. There's other ways you can support the channel. For example, if you're looking for a server, definitely check out the Atlas link. I also have it pinned in the description right at the top. So it's easy to find, and be sure to check that out. Get 20% off if that's something you're interested in. And with that, I want to thank you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.